What do Barack Obama, Christina Aguilera, Mark Zuckerberg, and Emma Watson all have in common? They're all introverts. As surprising as that might seem, they all identify as being introverts. Let's start by discussing what introverts are not. Number one, introversion is not a description or another way of describing shyness. Number two, they are not socially awkward. That's not what we're talking about. And number three, they're not recluses. That's not the definition of true introversion. Now, some introverts may be those things, they may be one or all of those things, but there are a lot of extroverts that are those things as well. So when we talk about introversion versus extroversion, we're actually talking about another component of our personalities. And what we really mean when we're talking about that is, how do people replenish themselves? How do they rejuvenate? How do they revive themselves? So an extrovert is someone that reaches outward. They are enthusiastic about the environment around them. It makes them feel light. It makes them feel happy. And an introvert, by the same token, when they need to, and really the word is recharge. So when their battery is getting a little low and they need to recharge, they go inward. Let's say you wake up in the morning, we have our introvert. That person has had an opportunity to rest, replenish, think, just spend some me time. So they get up and they're ready to go. As they go through the day, they say hello to their spouse, they say hello to their kids, get them off to school, they get to work, they're talking to Dave at the water cooler, they've gone into a couple of meetings, maybe with one or two people, maybe with the entire department. And you can see as the day progresses, that energy level is depleting. So that battery is going down. Our extrovert, on the other hand, has had the whole night to be by themselves, to think, to just not have any outside stimulus. They get up, they're talking to their kids, they get to Dave by the water cooler, they've talked about the game, that was hilarious. Then they called their friend and they decided we're gonna go for lunch together. And then by the end of the day, they're thinking, you know what, let's go for dinner. The game is on, let's watch the game. Why don't we call a bunch of people and we'll all watch the game together. So here's our introvert who's had a great day, but now really needs to just recharge. And here's our extrovert who has had a great day and is all charged up. So at some point in the day, they were probably at similar spots, but now they're not. This is why it's so important that we know where we fall so that we understand how we work and what gives us energy and what takes energy away from us. When we actually can identify and openly discuss our differences, then we're in a position to give each other what we need. So for example, you are in a relationship with someone that's an introvert. We've hopefully learned that they need time alone. Not because you've done something wrong, not because they don't love you, not because you've annoyed them, but just because in order for them to recharge, they have to take that time. You're in a relationship with an extroverted person, and you have to realize sometimes they want to be out there in the mix. They want to be out there where they can feel that they're a part of what's going on around them. It doesn't mean that you're boring. It doesn't mean that they don't want to be with you. It just means that they need to recharge. On a personal note, I remember as a child being very aware that I was extroverted. And I was always questioning, am I being too loud? Do I need to be quieter? Do I need to tone it down? That was something that I was constantly in my own head wondering if I needed to do. And part of that was because I came from an environment that really encouraged that children should be seen and not heard, that quiet is better, that you have to behave in a certain way, decorum, all these things, which there's nothing wrong with those things. But for someone like myself that was a little bit more expressive and that really loved the interaction that came from large groups and people and talking to different people, it was challenging to feel that perhaps there was something wrong with me. So what I've learned from my research and talking with others is that there's nothing wrong with you, that there's nothing wrong with us. Who we are innately, the way we're made up, is so important, because as in any team, you don't just have one person doing one thing. You have different people doing different things that come together to create a wonderful whole.